Are you familiar with the Cult of Thorn?
Enlighten me.
They go back millennia to the times of the Druids. They believed that a family was to be chosen to carry the curse of Thorn. To prevent mass death among the tribes, one family was chosen to bear the curse. The bearer of the mark of Thorn would sacrificially murder their entire family on All Hallows Eve, sparing their community from disastrous events.
You know, Doc, this whole psychiatry thing doesn't quite work out for you. I'd say you got a hell of a career in narrating some documentaries and shit. No, seriously, you, little Morgan Freeman thrown in for good measure. I'll be one educated motherfucker.
Mr. Leach, this may be the key to his motivations, the key to his evil, the key to stopping him.
Look, Doc, in my experience, when you try to assign reasons for why evil exists, that's right about the time that evil shows up and shoves a dose of reality right up your ass. Nothing controls this guy. No cult, no thorns. Back to the drawing board. So Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers tells the story of Michael Myers coming back once and for all to finish off his niece, Jamie Lloyd, all the while revealing all the secrets about what powers Michael, what controls Michael, what drives Michael, in the form of the Cult of Thorn. Well, here we are at the end of the Thorn trilogy, everybody, and I will say Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers is probably, definitely the most frustrating for me out of this entire franchise, because there are so many things about this movie that is awesome, that they nail, that they do so good, all the while being in a movie that is an absolute mess because of studio turmoil, studio meddling, people not being on the same page behind the camera, all kinds of drama, and we're going to get into all of that. But first, let's talk about the things that I do like about Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And the number one thing that I love about this movie is Myers himself. Aside from the original film and what Nick Castle brought to that role, this is my favorite incarnation of Michael Myers, is in The Curse of Michael Myers. Played by George P. Wilbur. This is the guy that did Michael Myers in Halloween 4. He does much better this time around. He's the most brutal and the most foreboding and imposing and intimidating form of Michael Myers since that first film. There's certain aspects of him that's even scarier than Nick Castle, just because he is such a brutal Michael Myers in this sixth installment. And just the way that they utilize the character, the way that he is so much scarier and so much more of a presence in this film than he's been in the past couple of films. The performance of Michael Myers, the brutality of Michael Myers, and the mask of Michael Myers. This is probably the best mask since the first one as well. They really nail the mask in The Curse of Michael Myers, which again begs the question of why it was so difficult to do that in previous movies and in some movies later on in this franchise. Why is the mask so hard? The Curse of Michael Myers shows you can do the mask right and not be a William Shatner mask. What the fuck? But Myers, badass. The second biggest thing that this movie has going for it, which is a huge thing considering that this is very bland in quite a few of these sequels, is the tone, the atmosphere above anything else, and the cinematography. They really have a unique look, and they really have a dark and sinister look that they go for in this installment, and they nail it. This movie has some of the most atmosphere in any of the Halloween films. Whether or not you're following Myers, chasing around one of his victims, or just walking around the town with Tommy Doyle in this weird little Halloween festival going on in this park, Doesn't matter. There is so many different settings going on in The Curse of Michael Myers, and every single one, due to the direction, the way that the shots are framed, some of the kind of frantic style that they bring to this, and the camera work and the editing and the transitions, it's such a unique feel to it that just the tone and the direction, the camera work alone of The Curse of Michael Myers gives it its own flavor, and it kind of makes it feel like a fresh viewing experience after going through so many sequels where they try to recapture what that original John Carpenter film went for as far as that tone and atmosphere, some succeeding more than others. The Curse goes for its own feel, its own look, and it succeeds with that.
People danced, and they played games, and they dressed up in costumes, hoping to ward off the evil spirits, especially the boogeyman.
And helping along the way with that is also the score that they go for in this movie. Now, if you watch the theatrical cut, it has a much more kind of high energy, almost electric guitar, heavy metal mixed version of the score, and I like that a lot more. There's two different versions of this film, by the way, if you're not aware, and we're going to kind of get into both throughout this review. So those of you that were expecting a producer's cut review as a standalone video, no, we're talking about all that right now. But the score, as far as the theatrical cut goes, it gives, again, a very fresh, unique feel to this movie. And it kind of adds to the frantic state of the way that this story goes along, the way that the characters are, the way that Myers is. It just kind of feeds into all of that. When you see Michael Myers just slaughtering people or chasing them down a hallway, and you hear these little electric guitar riffs come through and just kind of scream through your speakers, it works. And one of the best things about this one too, which is again why it's such a frustrating movie for me, because they nail some of the most important parts, the kills. The kills in The Curse of Michael Myers are awesome. Now again, two different cuts, so you have many different, versions of kills as far as a couple different characters. You have Jamie killed one way and then she's killed another way in the one cut. Then you have Mr. Strode, asshole, who's killed in one way and then killed in a different way in a different cut. But the exploding head kill is awesome. Even though it's a very disrespectful way that they do it, which I will get into, the kill of Jamie Lloyd in the theatrical cut, whenever Myers just throws her onto this, piece of farming equipment. I believe they use it for corn. And there's like these three little blades that just get shot through her midsection. And then he doesn't even stop there. He pushes her even farther on it and then turns the motherfucker on and it just starts disemboweling her. Wicked! That is awesome. That's what I want more of. There's also a scene in the theatrical cut where Michael Myers just decimates this entire room full of doctors and nurses, and it's awesome because you never really get a scene like that in this franchise where Michael is taking on a group of people. It's always, stalking one person individually, two at the most. You get to this scene and there's like 5 or 6 people in this little locked room with these see-through windows, and you can just see blood squirting everywhere. You see Myers slashing and stabbing and freaking disemboweling. People are just running and screaming and placing their face against the glass with blood shooting out their mouth. Carnage candy, baby. And my final positive for Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers, which is kind of more of a mixed thing, but I can't help but like it to a degree, is Loomis. Now, this was the last time that we ever got to see this character as far as the Donald Pleasence version of this character. This was the last film that Donald Pleasence ever made. He actually died during the production. So Loomis's presence in this movie is very bittersweet. It's a lot more in line with the Loomis that we know and love. It's not like this whacked out crackpot that they tried in Halloween 5. It's more in line with just this guy who has just been around for years and years. He's at the end of his life, just like the first line that he gives, though. Not dead, just very much retired. This is a very old, decrepit Dr. Loomis. And he's around basically just to make sure that Jamie or whoever gets tied in with Michael Myers this one last time makes it out of it. He's not a big fighter. He's not a huge presence in the movie. He doesn't have a ton to do. He's kind of just here because they need Loomis to be here. But just the bittersweet nature of this being Donald Pleasence's last film and the last time that we got to see his version of Dr. Loomis, his presence is welcome. For the little bit that he can do in this movie, his presence is welcome. He doesn't embarrass himself. He doesn't downgrade the character at all. He's there to be kind of a nice little send-off for his version of the character. So, bittersweet stuff there. Now moving on to the negatives of Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers. And since I've been talking about it, I guess we'll just go ahead and just talk about the theatrical cut and the producer's cut, which neither one of those cuts even feels like a complete cut of this movie. This movie is an absolute mess. Both versions of this film feel incomplete. They feel like they're missing something. They feel like they never really got fully cooked ideas in either of them. Theatrical cut feels like the studio was trying to pull back some of the crazy stuff they were going for in the story and make, you know, more of a traditional Halloween film. Producer's cut goes balls out with this cult idea and goes into wild different directions. You know, Michael's raping his niece and has this child and so much weird shit. And to be honest, neither one of those cuts really do it for me. Unfortunately, the only real cut of this movie that I can watch and really enjoy for the most part all the way through is a fan edit cut by a friend of mine, who I'm not going to name, otherwise everybody's going to flood him. But it's a cut that kind of marries the best pieces of the theatrical cut and the producer's cut together. Still not a perfect film, because there's some issues in this movie that no cut is going to fix, but it feels like it's the best of both worlds. And when you watch that cut, I kind of get everything. I get a little bit more of the cult stuff. I get more of the theatrical, traditional Michael Myers with the brutality and the better kills and the better score and, you know, the better direction that they went for the Jamie Lloyd character. Forgot her name for a second. What the fuck? But there's no official cut of this movie released by Dimension Films that feels like a complete product. It feels like both ends of this film is just like this, you know, thing that they didn't realize was due on Monday until Sunday night, and they just had to turn a cut in. The theatrical cut doesn't quite go for all of the fully cooked story ideas, so it feels muddled, it feels very rushed, and it feels incomplete as far as the story goes, but you get a lot more of the style, a lot more of the atmosphere, a lot more of the brutal kills, a lot cooler scenes, a lot better Myers. But you get into the producer's cut and it tones that down a little bit, gives you more of your traditional Halloween score, and it gets rid of some of the more extreme kills and focuses more on this Cult of Thorn and the motivations there and how they're trying to control Myers to kind of pass on this curse to this young kid and kind of start a new generation of a Michael Myers style killer. And, you know, like I said, there's niece rape and all kinds of crazy little wild ideas that I don't know why you would ever go in that direction, but they go balls out with that cut. And it feels like a more coherent movie because they go full on with the stories that they start the movie with. So it feels like it kind of more, it cooks the ideas a little bit more by the final act of the movie. But all the directions they go are fucking weird. And it's directions I never want to see Michael Myers or this franchise go. So it's like both cuts have their positives and their negatives. And like I said, the main negative with both of them is neither one of them feels like a complete cut. From what I understand, there was a producer that wanted a certain movie, there was a director that wanted a certain movie, there was a studio that wanted a certain movie. Nobody got on the same page, and we got some kind of weird mishmash of all of these ideas, and none of them feel like they're ever fully accomplished in this film. Now, speaking strictly on the story, which is kind of an overarching negative with both cuts, the direction that they decide to go with this is go full on with the Cult of Thorn storyline. You know, Halloween 5, the director just started inserting random things in there to somebody eventually will pick up these story ideas. I'm just going to insert them in my movie so that we have room to pick them up later, like the little mark of thorn you get on Myers' wrist for like a 2-second shot, the Man in Black, which we only get like 2 small appearances by, and then that cliffhanger ending. They take those and they have the story of the curse of Michael Myers, where there's been this Cult of Thorn, and they are the one that cursed Michael Myers as a young child to make him start killing his family, which is like this old druid cult where you would have this family chosen by the village or by the town to hold the mark of thorn, and in order to prevent disasters among that community, that family member who had the mark of thorn would have to kill his entire bloodline to kind of spare the rest of his community from a lot of decimation in the form of droughts or in the form of really, things that would fuck up a community. They kind of take that wild ass ideas of that, which isn't even fully accurate, and apply it to Michael Myers. And again, it's just, it's different, it's unique, it gives this movie its own flavor, but it's just fucking weird. Why? No. Michael Myers does not get controlled by a cult. That is just dumb. To the point where rocks can be placed in a hallway and he will just stop. To the point where you have this random character that was in like one small scene of the original Halloween in 1978 that gets brought back as this, I've been the villain all along.
Careful with the girl.
Yeah.
Win.
And he's the one controlling Myers. Nobody fucking controls Myers. There is no version of this character that I ever want to see that is a puppet on strings. Michael Myers is his own fucking person. He's his own mind. He is his own little spawn of evil that is evil because evil is evil. That is all the explanation that I need. If I can get really irritated about the whole brother-sister storyline, just imagine how aggravating it is trying to explain this fucking cult shit. It's weird. I don't want it. The next couple of negatives kind of go hand in hand, and that's characters and acting. Aside from Michael Myers himself, and aside from the bittersweet nature of seeing the end of Donald Pleasance's Dr. Loomis, every other character in this movie I either don't care about or they're a really bad character. I mean, you get thrown into this Strode family that for some reason decided to live in the Myers house, which I don't care what financial situation you were in, nobody with a half a brain would ever fucking do. But you have bland character with a son, you have the stereotypical battered wife who's afraid to say anything to her husband, and you have one of the biggest assholes in this entire franchise, which does get his payoff because he has an awesome kill. But that is the side characters that you're given, as well as a very, very unusual early performance by Paul Rudd. Yes, I love Paul Rudd. He's great in comedies. 40-Year-Old Virgin is one of my favorite comedies of all time. I've enjoyed him as Ant-Man, especially in Civil War. But I'm sorry, he was not good in this movie. I know horror fans like to get really excited when an actor who is really big today had his start in a horror movie years ago. Maybe they don't talk about it. Kevin Bacon, Paul Rudd, Jamie Lee Curtis, she's one of the few that actually does embrace it. When you get Paul Rudd in this movie, it's actually surprising that he succeeded later on. He got much better now because his performance, and I don't know if that was the way he was directed or if that was just him as an early actor with little experience and just maybe in a genre that he doesn't quite, his strengths don't fit. I don't enjoy him in this movie at all. His version of Tommy Doyle is just weird and awkward and it's odd. Every single scene that this guy is in is odd and uncomfortable, to the way that he kind of has these weird little looks, like he's got the baby sitting here and she comes in and he's just sitting with her son and she's like, "What are you doing in my house?" And he's just kind of like,
he knows all about dinosaurs.
Or even in the theatrical cut at the final scene after he's beaten the shit out of Michael Myers with this lead pipe and then he's finally feels like he's done, he's like, and throws it down and has this weird little cheeseball smile as he walks away feeling victorious. It's just, I don't like it. I don't like the character. I don't like Paul Rudd in this movie. He's not good. And the last thing that I want to harp on for a minute, which does go along with story, but it kind of needs its own little section to be talked about. Despite the fact that I think that the kill itself is actually very satisfyingly brutal, at least in the theatrical cut. The disrespect shown to the character of Jamie Lloyd in this movie is borderline unforgivable. I mean, there's this whole drama thing going on before this movie was made about why Danielle Harris didn't even participate in this third movie, because they wanted to hack her salary down to just as much, if not less, than what it was when she was a child doing Halloween 4, because they wanted her screen time cut down to almost nothing because they wanted to get rid of the character and go in this weird cult direction. So Danielle Harris said, "Fuck you, I'm not taking a pay cut. Go make your shitty movie. See you next time." And honestly, I applaud her for that, because the direction that they take Jamie Lloyd in this movie is as if this character is just inconsequential to this franchise altogether. It's almost as bad as the thing that they do in Halloween Resurrection with Jamie Lee Curtis's character, just scaled down a bit because Laurie Strode's a little bit more prestigious in this franchise than Jamie Lloyd was. But nonetheless, you have this character who is recasted to this actress that nobody knows and very little people will remember, that's supposed to carry on this iconic character from this trilogy played by Danielle Harris as a young child. All of a sudden now she's this mom. We have no transition from young Jamie Lloyd into this, you know, running out of a hospital or some kind of a weird cellar wearing a nightgown trying to shield this baby from Michael Myers. Like, what the fuck? Did we miss something? And all of a sudden now, right after that, she gets thrown into this barn and you either have one cut that kills her immediately or another cut that basically puts her into a hospital bed until they unceremoniously shoot her in the head later on in the film, which is no better. It's actually worse in my opinion because you don't even get a little bit of enjoyment as far as the brutality of the kill, but just this franchise chooses time and time again to disrespect what comes before it. It's like the directors come on and they don't give a fuck what everybody else did. I'm just gonna make my own movie. To hell with the franchise. And that's just disrespectful. It's disrespectful to what came before it. It's disrespectful to the fans. And it's disrespectful to a very good character that gets wasted in this movie. So that alone is something that takes this movie down quite a few pegs if you're a fan of the 4th film, or even the few of you that's fans of the 5th film. But with all that being said, this is a movie that I do enjoy for some aspects of it. Like I said, Myers is one of the best in this entire franchise. The kills are awesome. The tone and the atmosphere and the camera work and the cinematography are top notch in this. It has a very unique and fresh feel, which if you're marathoning this franchise, you are going to crave by the time you get to the 6th film. But there's so many story things that just go wildly off the wall, so many characters and acting performances that are just uncomfortably bad, and disrespect to a very important character in this franchise, especially in this trilogy. So a very mixed bag, a very frustrating film that just had so much potential but just squandered a lot of it because of behind the camera studio issues between director, producer, and studio. So a mess of a film, but still an entertaining mess at the end of the day. So I will recommend that you see this if you're a fan of this franchise. So Halloween fans, if you're looking for a successful conclusion to the Thorn trilogy, you're not quite gonna get it. But if you like a Michael Myers driven movie with a badass Myers, good kills, great atmosphere, despite some story issues and maybe a few characters you're not really gonna like or want to talk about afterwards, I think this is worth a shot. Be patient and check it out on Netflix. So what do you guys think of Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers? Are you one of the people that absolutely love this installment for all the unique and fresh things that it brings to this franchise and the badass Michael Myers? Or are you somebody that just gets frustrated all the hell and you just don't want anything to do with this movie, and for all intents and purposes, the 4th movie is the only Thorn trilogy movie you ever need to rewatch? Put all your thoughts on Halloween, The Curse of Michael Myers down in the comment section below, guys, and we will talk about it. Please like and share this video. Hit that subscribe button if you're not already a subscriber. If you guys want to check out some social media links down below, I've got Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, Spreadshirt for Cody Leach t-shirts and other more merchandise, and my Patreon page, which is a great way to give back to this channel and help it grow and get cool exclusive content for your eyes only if you decide to become a patron, such as the ability to choose topics for videos for me, like a top 5 or review, and to get exclusive access to the Blu-ray digital copy codes that I give away to my patrons almost every single week. So check that out, guys. And if you want to check out some more of my videos, including the rest of this Halloween review series leading up to Halloween 2018 next week, you can check all that out by clicking right over here.